Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk in New York City, and where we are gearing up for another EU versus NA clash between G2 Esports and Evil Geniuses. We're going to kick things off by going straight to the fans to see what they think about this matchup with our MasterCard fan predictions. Let's fly those up. Let's see where the community at large stands when it comes to determining the winner of this matchup. And it is a substantial vote in favor,
you can boo all you want, the fans know the truth. G2 greater than EG.
So, look, even myself as an NA representative can understand to a degree when you have a 6-0 historic record from just a few months ago at MSI, that it seems logical that a lot of fans would go the way of G2. But Jack, I'm going to turn to you for maybe a little bit, a semblance of, you know, a counter argument, or maybe you can stabilize.
What is your rationale
so
for
listen,
EG?
Reality check.
Normally I'm against. Normally I'm against.
They're all saying, let's go EG. Yeah. This is your time.
Well, listen, I kind of realized that what am I doing with my life? Like, I predicted against Rogue, I was wrong.
It's a bigger conversation.
Yesterday I predicted NA teams to win, I was wrong.
Right.
Like, I think I'm just tired of going against this grain.
What are you doing, Jack? What are you doing, Jack?
Who needs a headset?
I'm sorry to the NA fans, but like, I would like to be right every once in a while.
What does he do?
So I had to rip this. I had to do this during the break, guys.
Oh my God! You
G2 8-0. 8-0 already six.
G2 8-0.
He's that on.
He's doing. Not only is this man predicting the first
matchup.
matchup,
Want to be right for once.
He's predicting the second one as well. He's calling for the shutout across the year.
I made it in between games.
8-0 G2 over EG.
We saw Rogue already.
Okay. Well, Vetty, I was kind of hoping for a little bit of an argument.
Okay, well, let's talk about why G2 is so great by looking back at yesterday's game. Oh, no.
All right. Yeah, but I think that's an important thing. Let's talk about yesterday, because while I do think a lot of people clearly have faith in G2, it's not all roses.
And it's one of those situations where yesterday, it didn't look great for G2. And we heard Jankos saying in that small slot at the beginning of the day, it wasn't actually due to the draft, it was actually due to how we played. And I think, to be fair to him, it's hard to evaluate the strength of your draft when you really are just straight up outplayed within the first 8 minutes of the game, because Darwin really put on a masterclass performance yesterday against G2, and we really didn't get to see anything from that roster.
Yeah, and I do think this draft for G2, I bet it worked great in scrims. I bet if they ran back this draft today, because a team is going to show less early game aggression like EG, they'd be able to get to the scaling point when Seraphine can be a good team fighter. It doesn't matter that they can only play through bot lane, and I think they'd actually do okay in team fights. Even in that game when they were down 8,000 gold, they were still actually kind of close in some of those fights. So I dislike that draft versus that team, but I understand why they went for it.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about early games, though. I saw Caitlyn Lux there, right? Typically, that's going to indicate we're trying to get something done in the early game.
So domestically, G2 was never really known for their early game, and you can see these are some of their summer stats. Even though they finished first at the end of the regular season, they weren't known for their early game dominance. They might get a kill here and there, they might find a pick, a couple of early objectives, but really it was the mid to the late game where we really saw this G2 shine. The problem is, internationally, they had these same problems at MSI as well. You all remember what T1 did to them into the early game, and this is what Darwin did to them in the early game as well. So while I think that domestically, G2 have found ways to transition small leads into massive ones as they move from the early into the mid game with incredibly powerful team fighting, the early game is an area with which I think G2 can look to be exploited, but I just don't think EG is a team that is capable of doing that.
Yeah, and Vedius, I'm a man of history.
Right.
Right? And if you actually remember the last time I was on an international analyst desk with you for Worlds, everyone on the desk predicted G2. Yes. And what happened next is they got 3-0'd by FPX.
I do remember that.
You have actually fallen for the trap. I appreciate everybody. I would never do this. Let's go! EG! Jojo! He's taking it down!
There it is. Let it be known, nobody beats EG 7 times in a row.
Not gonna happen.
It won't happen.
Don't need this G2 shirt.
Oh, Lordy. All right, well, there you have it. Another split desk. I wouldn't have it any other way as we prepare for an NA versus EU, a battle to the death. With that, I'm going to get us back down onto the stage so we can meet the teams, meet our players, and get ourselves into this battle.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the caster desk. Listen, I think it is time, not only for the casters such as Jat to be biased, but I would like the crowd to be biased here towards EG. So first of all, can we get another cheer for Evil Geniuses, please? Okay, now.
That was good, I like that.
As we get into champ select, can I please get a boo for G2?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Surely there must be some G2 fans in the audience. Is anyone gonna cheer for G2? Not bad, I'll take that.
You got some
take
pity
that
claps,
a
couple
little
pity
bit.
claps there.
Yeah. Just remember, you know, do the right thing when the kills come through.
There we go, G2 fans in the audience.
You know what? I have a lot of respect for that guy. He's surrounded. He's an enemy in territory, but he's holding it down for G2.
Behind enemy lines.
Respect.
Respect indeed. We're into draft. Aatrox, Caitlyn taken away, Yuumi taken away on the side of G2, trying to deny that from Vulcan. Akali taken off the board against jojopyun. I feel like Akali's been kind of permabanned against jojopyun.
Yeah.
The question I have is Maokai after that game one, right? We've seen teams heavily prioritize Maokai in the group stage so far.
Well, yeah, and we've seen some NA teams actually passing it up, right? I do think, you know, we saw priority towards Sejuani for 2 of the NA teams yesterday. EG, I do think, has very high Maokai priority. They're going to be happy to play it for Inspired. I think they'll be happy to play it for Impact as well. Vulcan, I've seen practicing it in solo queue, so I do think it's a 3-way flex here if they're not going to ban it out. You know, it's interesting to see they are waiting quite a while here for this final ban.
So,
Okay.
EG haven't taken away Senna. And G2 are big fans of things like the Senna Seraphine. So I wonder if that's something that'll slip through in the draft.
Flakked has 1 recorded Senna game post MSI. I assume there is plenty more. Maokai comes through, I think. A very good option to me actually is the champion of the patch. Yes, we know other things like the Callista, the Aatrox are banned away, but I think he's still absolutely huge.
Well, Targamas has also played a number of games. He has 4 games. I think he's actually won basically every game on it. They've played Yasuo Senna. They've played Senna Seraphine. They've played a number of different... Senna Swain. So there are a number of different styles that they can play, but I still think prioritizing Maokai here does make a lot of sense. Maokai's so strong, and I do believe it is a 3-way flex there for EG. We'll have to see what the response here is. This is going to dictate a lot of the draft. It is going to be an early Sylas. It's the cap special. I believe this is his signature champion.
So they've gone for Sylas Sejuani, keeping the Sejuani flex there. It could go top jungle. But Sylas into Maokai should get a pretty good ultimate there. I feel like Akali, Sylas are the kind of mage bruisers that we see at Worlds right now.
Do you think we might see like an AD melee top for BrokenBlade, like a Yone or something, and try to go triple melee topside with a Sedge?
Well, yeah, Jankos is very famous for his Sejuani back in Europe.
He
loves
that and the Nidalee, I would say.
The Sejuani is literally his go-to. Now the question is, EG, what do you do here? Do you pick up your bot lane? They're going to go for the Varus, or are we going to get the Tahm Kench as well?
We are getting Tahm Kench.
Kaori and Vulcan 2v2 kill, hope and missing with things like this Varus Tahm Kench.
I think it's got to be Tahm Kench. When they already have shown the Sejuani, I feel like it's a really good answer into that pick, and it is a strong duo. If you don't grab it here, it will be banned out. EG may just be using this draft time to actually talk through what they want to do after, but I think it's Tahm Kench guaranteed.
Yeah, the only problem you have here is you're sacrificing jojopyun just a little bit. When the blind picks Sylas, they're going to be able to ban those things away. Now the question is, do G2 go for that Yone now, that AD top, and ban away top laners, or do they pick up something like the Senna here and have something deep in their pocket? Do they pick up Aphelios and counter pick support later on in the draft?
I'm such a fan of triple melee topside with Sejuani that I would like that for them. I think that is really their style, allows them to play up towards top lane very heavily, and I'm going to be interested to see if we get it.
There's the Aphelios, so they're actually going to leave that top pick for now, keep the Sejuani flex, pick support on 4. I think I speak for not just EU fans, but all fans across the world that Caps isn't playing Seraphine. He's playing something a little bit more agency and can maybe look for those highlights.
I love the Seraphine. Was delightful.
Oh, you like the Seraphine?
I liked it, yeah.
May I remind you that Sylas could flex top, and there's still an option. We got to keep up hope.
True.
Sylas jungle as well.
I mean, Caps back on a carry, I think spells good things for G2. You definitely want to have him as that threat. This guy's done it so many times internationally, so many times regionally. We know that he can dominate, and let's be honest, G2 has crushed EG so far this year. You know, 6-0 at MSI. EG definitely hungry for some revenge. We want to see if EG, you know, even as the individuals, yes, there is no Danny here. Yes, it is not the intended starting roster, but we want to see if that improvement can show against a team like G2 that is truly world-class and has been around the block so many times when it comes to these big events.
Definitely have one of the most successful and storied orgs in European history. next to teams like Fnatic. There's a Renata ban, so targeting the support picks, trying to take them away. Things like the Lulu, the Braum, I feel like G2 will have options. GG just removing the strongest ones.
Yeah, very interesting though. G2 also with the Graves ban, obviously their read would be then that means it's an impact tree. And I do think that would pair well with a carry jungler like the Graves, so I think it's intelligent. LeBlanc is up and does feel like a JoJo special, something that he is pretty comfortable to go towards, but it does feel like EG are building more towards straight up 5v5, so I feel like maybe you want to go more towards just a control mage.
That Darius ban tells me that this Maokai probably is going towards the top side, and I feel like with G2 seeing that, they should probably pick support here and keep the Sejuani flex.
And I actually really like the ban, even though we haven't seen it, because when I see Maokai top, that is the go-to I think of in solo queue, and also does pair well with Sejuani for the triple melee top. So even though we haven't seen it yet, I do think it's a smart respect ban. BrokenBlade is the kind of guy that would be willing to bring it out. Rell AoE CC against Tahm Kench, I think is always really, really strong. You're not just targeted CC on one person like the Leona that's more easily denied by the TK. This makes it more difficult, and you can poke off the gray health as well on that Tahm Kench.
Do they go for things like the Trundle here into the Sejuani and then just basically run back the Rogue comp in a similar vein of the Maokai, the Trundle, having something like a Victor as well to fill the role of things like the carries? Is that something you think EG would run?
I think it is. The only concern is just that, are they going to be...
Jojo Sett.
It is Sett mid, baby. Now I think we're going to have a higher damage jungler. I don't think we're actually going to get the Trundle anymore. It's possible they go towards Trundle, but I think you're too low DPS. You need AP from jungle for sure here with Sett, so...
I feel like they really need AP damage in the jungle right now. Unless Kaori goes some kind of AP Varus build, it must be... Inspired Nidalee up against G2. Now, Jankos has that option of counterpicking this, going for something like the Lee Sin if he wants with more dueling potential, or just taking the bullets, playing the Sejuani and giving the counterpick to BrokenBlade.
Man, you gotta give it to EG. They don't lack for confidence here. Going in with the Sett mid, there was a massive game from JoJo in play and looked really, really good. It's Fiora though, another melee topside. AD melee champions, we're talking about it earlier on. I think triple melee topside, when you do have that Sejuani, is so strong for your skirmishes in 2v2s, for your 3v3s around Herald even. Even though Nidalee is really well known for her early game power, it's so tough when you're fighting against Sejuani plus a melee in a lot of these skirmishes.
Let's just look at these comps because we have 8 melee champions right now. The only ranged ones, well, also 7, and Nidalee will go in a little bit in melee form when she dashes forwards, but it's only the AD carries that are going to play on range here. Fiora, Sejuani, Sylas, Rell into a Sett, Maokai, Tahm Kench. There's going to be so much fighting. It's going to be so scrappy. Just a case of finding the right targets.
Well, and honestly, I just worry for EG, if there is that threat, which it feels like there's a lot of dive here in AoE CC potentially coming through from G2. If you can even just pressure Varus, even if Tahm Kench is there to save him, they don't really have a lot of damage there remaining, right? But Sett ults can be massive here when it is those 4 melee champions, if they're all getting clumped up, if you can hit multiple people with the Haymaker, multiple people with that Showstopper, it can be really bad. I wish League of Legends was real life. All right, let's go. He's having fun.
Smoj in there as well. What would League of Legends look like in real life? All these spells, TPing around, dashing, blinking, invisible god.
You're just getting your ass beat all day. You're just fighting to the death.
I'm just looking at the game right now, looking in all chat. jojopyun is taunting Caps. He's writing Caps, Sylas, oh my god. Oh my god. So this will be a banger game. The Sett, of course, is something we see into things like the Akali, the Sylas, the Galio, melee AP champions, where he can just pull them into his Haymaker and just look for the damage.
Well, and one of the things that I always love is when I'm playing a Goredrinker champion and I look across the rift and there's 3+ melee. When you have 3+ melee, Goredrinker always seems like you have insane value with the heal there. And when we're playing against a 4 melee comp, if you can get in the mix there, get a good ult with everyone stacked up, clap them together, get the big W off, get that huge value from the Goredrinker, it can be pretty powerful. But I do think if EG fall behind it all, they are going to be so light on damage, especially if bot lane does poorly here. I think this comp is a disaster.
Could be. They need to get ahead, and EG doing a 4-man point in that brush with JoJo baiting it. JDG did the exact same thing yesterday against EG and got first blood. Maybe they were trying to find a way for G2 to walk in and punish. G2 don't fall for the bait. They're just going to drop a ward there, EG, on their entrance. And I think the biggest problem that G2 have in the early game is the Nidalee. The clear speed is just so much faster than Jankos. Jankos needs to keep track of a jungler that's just faster pace and can invade a lot easier with these lanes earlier on.
Well, we're going to have to see what he can get done, because it feels like it would be a look towards topside unless maybe Flakked and Targamas are way overpushed. But it feels like you want to play heavily here, with the Sett. JoJo starting E, very standard in these melee matchups. Get the clap in, hit him with the 1-2, hit him with the thumbs up. Oh, he's doing sit-ups!
You gotta love jojopyun. Even as an EU representative, EU fan, I'm a huge fan of jojopyun. So much confidence in such a young player. He's going to pull caps back again, so some nice early trades coming out here from Jojo, and I have to say big props to the players that use emotes to taunt and, you know, the in-game character emotes just to have a little bit of fun during these trades.
He's denied all the CS so far. Caps actually not. There we go. Gets his first pinnacle in the lane. Caps on the board. The defenseless, helpless minion gets cut down. As a quick fight in the bot side. First wave in, and Targamas W's back out for the shield.
So yeah, G2 mid and bot losing the push right now. BrokenBlade will need a few more levels before he can start really hard contesting Impact. He's gonna have the grass procs and the vitals, but again, level 2 first. These lanes for EG going very good in the early stages. You talked about it, Azale, having to snowball this early game. Nidalee, of course, just finished her top side. Camp's gonna move it.
Oh, he's done. Oh, he might just die. I mean, 200 health left. He's gonna keep waiting for grass proc, but the same will happen through for Fiora. New vital coming up soon. Passive comes across. Q's him out of the queue. He had to get that timing right.
But the wave is screwed. He needs help here, and Nidalee's clearing from top to bot, so there's no help here in sight to actually reset this wave. How close is Impact to 3? He's a couple minions off. He really wants to get 3 for the level up, but BrokenBlade could look.
So Impact had a cookie there that helped him out so much, and getting a little bit of mana. Does have a little bit of regen coming in now as well, so he can trade back with this level 3 advantage. I think the second BrokenBlade dings over to 3. He will start to look for those vital procs when they arrive. Jankos now pathing back towards his top side to help out BrokenBlade, and he's not spotted. Crucially, with this wave pushing out, Impact could be in trouble.
Yeah, with the next wave coming in, there's no way he actually gets this reset before Sejuani gets top. I think Impact is going to be dead unless he backs it up right now.
Uh-oh.
He's got no ward. He's dead.
Yeah, that's not the bot. He won't find the first stun, but here we've got the 2v1. So Impact, how do you live? You know Jankos Q is going to land, and actually, he's dropping the farm in the meantime. Try to deny some as well. Flashes. Stun's still going to land. First blood through for Jankos.
I have to say props to Jankos for backtracking up there. That's the thing with jungle, identifying lanes and making sure you're there in time. Impact had a bad wave. He could have called Inspired and said, hey, I need help, but Inspired was full clearing towards bot, and Jankos just gave up camps to do that. We'll see what Inspired can get done, though, because he's now walking into Jankos' jungle, ignoring the crab and taking away the Krugs. Then Nidalee needs to prioritize farming over covering.
Absolutely, and at the end of the day, that is Impact dying even with the flash there. The only small silver lining is that Sejuani got the kill, and the wave did get reset during that, so the wave will slow push out towards him, but Inspired gonna have to be careful here, pay some respect over. The buy, of course, for Fiora, much better. When you're laning against these early Sheen buys from that Fiora with the grass procs, it's so frustrating to deal with. Just the Q poke that is going to come out here from the Fiora in these matchups makes it very, very difficult. And if you get behind as a tank into Fiora, it feels really hopeless.
Yeah, so much % HP damage and true damage coming out of the Fiora, so it's really hard for the tank to deal with. Wave in a good state there for BrokenBlade. There was a lot of trading bot lane all the meanwhile, and G2 with the longsword 3 potions just trying to sustain every time the camera pans down here. It's EG the ones stepping up. I think this kill on top lane helps Jankos out a lot in this jungle matchup. You know, the Nidalee exponentially gets quicker and quicker in the clearing, and it just gets harder and harder for the Sejuani, but a Abomi's on the first base will help Jankos out a little bit, just clearing through his second spawn right now, as Inspired has already taken that base, but Jankos has not.
No, first buys are in, as he's going to start his recall before too long. Maybe the Gromp will go down, and bottom Scuttle still up as well, it looks like. Looks like Kaori and Vulcan never try to get the sidestep over to it. Impact now going to farm under his turret. He's going to be acclaimed, no problem. Targamas takes a bit of poke, not going to matter. Jankos is going to be safe to knock down the Scuttle Crab, and that is a double crab here for G2. Cloud9 fans, avert your eyes.
He's not even playing, you gotta do him like that. Yeah, Inspired's gonna walk in here and realize that this is gone. He's got double crabbed, but he managed to take away the Krugs. Not a huge camp lead yet for the Nidalee, so Inspired really needs to get this ball rolling. He has mid-push. Jojo's doing a fantastic job in this lane with the small CS lead, and Jankos could be in trouble. We'll get the Grump. Vulcan's on the way. Targamas can jump over.
3v2 possibility. Dives in, and Jankos, he's gonna be okay. Actually, still held his flash when he getting top, so a little bit of poke doesn't really matter. Recall will come through safely.
Yeah, and maybe an option to start up the Dragon here for the Nidalee. Like, you need to snowball. You need to put pressure on G2 to contest you while you are still in the advantage as this Nidalee. So he will start the Dragon. That should be his relatively uncontested, I do assume. Though Caps is cheating down to at least get a little bit of vision on the area. But it should be too late for G2 to really have any sort of an option here. So first Dragon will go over to EG.
Yeah, pretty easy for them. No real contest from G2. And you look at the gold right now. It's 200 gold lead to EG. Despite G2 getting that first blood, that's coming from mid and bot CS. Cap's gonna dash away from the true damage, has the ultimate, but doesn't decide to commit. Support and jungle right behind him.
Yeah, 3 men here. I think he's hoping that Jojo will go aggressive on him, and Jojo definitely does have the propensity to do just that. Jankos waiting on this side. Targamas has been here for quite some time. Jojo paying respect to, though, the fact that we have not seen Targamas for quite some time, but he's not playing to the side of the map.
Flash stun comes in, a flashback to safety. Stun, puts up the shield, wants straight toward the tower, but does not get the angle correct. The sidestep from Jankos guarantees no safety. 2 on the board for G2.
Pretty clean insect there from Caps. It looked pretty easy for them to just put the jojopyun on top of the support jungle despite his flash. They managed to use the CC layer. I wonder if Jojo could have ulted someone instead of flashing initially and then flashed afterwards. We'll have to look at the positioning of the champions.
Yeah, it's very difficult. You know, maybe I would have tried to been able to find that angle. As he lands, it's hard. Maybe he could have tried to, you know, get an ulti onto Jankos and then flash back towards the tower, but G2 wasn't really giving him any sort of an easy angle there. Good setup from Caps. But the jungle and support making all the difference in that 1v1. And this is a matchup that Sylas is going to outscale very, very heavily. So Sett needs to be playing with that advantage. And he was in the 1v1 until that point. But now things looking better and better for G2 here.
Yeah, Kill's going to pay for that CS lead pretty reliably here. As they wave at the bot side is going to be claimable. No, Aphelios did not get the gold. So there's around 68 gold lost.
Caps no flash though. So EG's mid jungle should be able to pressure the Danish mid laner out of this lane a little bit more because you do have so much setup. And, you know, the Maokai and the Sett, this top side of EG has enough setup for the Nidalee to find the kills, but right now they're going to contest this blue buff. All of Jankos' camps are up here. He is level 6. I wonder if G2 are going to collapse on this when they get the information that he's there. jojopyun stepping up, lets Jankos know that they're on his blue. How does G2 dissect this play? They could look for an engage, but Inspired has the flash, so good play there from EG to get the blue and get out.
Yeah, nice little bit of aggression, but it just hasn't felt like the Nidalee has really paid dividends. He's not playing that aggressively, you know, as far as looking for actual ganks. He's playing pretty heavily for the farm, but he's only up really 1 camp, or camp and a half, I guess I should say. So things looking really, really good for G2. It is farm advantages, you know, in mid and bot and jungle, but they're slight. And the couple kills going over to G2 more than even it out. And the compositional advantages as you get later, I think, are going to be feeling really good for G2.
Caps dodges all the wards, can steal Varus, ult, and probably seal the Doom. Vulcan not level 6, that would have been crucial. Yan goes over the wall, spotted, flash into safety, flash gets out, but they're going to catch Vulcan. Will it be enough damage though? The root not going to be enough. Flashes forced though, EG down both those summoners.
Not enough gap close there from G2 to kill the Tahm Kench, but they both have no flash. Kaori has the heal, Jankos has the ult though, no level 6, like you said, Freak on the Tahm Kench.
He's gonna go in for a big stun to start this one out. They're gonna find a whole lot here. There's the CC chain, and they're gonna get all of it. Vulcan gets the shield, it won't matter. 2 for nothing in the bot side. Flakked gets the kill.
Good ult there from Jankos. He stunned Kaori and then ulted Vulcan instead to interrupt the W to escape. jojopyun will get a lot of plates. Inspired will get Herald. Yes, G2 get 2 kills and they even up this bot deficit, but they're gonna lose a lot on this top side. We'll see how much Flakked can get in plates. He has good guns to shred through this tower.
Honestly, G2 gets so much more from that. I mean, Flakked, you know, that was kind of the last losing lane for G2. You know, he was behind, but it has been the team play really making the difference here for G2. Some of the individual lanes were going well for EG, but it's, you know, the mid support, you know, moving around together. Jungle support go mid, they get a kill there. Then jungle mid go towards bot. They're just spreading the advantage around the map here. It's just really good team play from EG.
We see it again here, no flash on both, and then Jankos uses the E stun here and the ult over to the side to make sure they can lock both down on the minimap. You can see a lot of pressure top side from EG. How can they use this Herald? Where do they place it? I mean, with that mid tower being so low, they could Herald that mid tier one and get it taken down. Caps enjoying himself right now. G2, of course, have really good kind of team synergy behind the scenes when it comes to joking around, always making fun of each other. So after this early game lead, should make them pretty happy with Caps sitting on 2 kills. But like I said, that mid tower really low. I feel like EG have a very clear play here. Just get their bot push, go towards mid, herald this tower, and play for the next dragon.
Yeah, the gold lead is functionally tied. If that crashes, then you get the local gold from the plates, from the first turret going down, everything else. It's probably going to get rid of a ward. Maybe a redive here at the bot side, but Targamas with the ulti. Flakked has all summoners. Not a likely fight to be had. jojopyun walking over, spotted by a ward, can't kill it himself. Just knows he's on vision.
I mean, with them that healthy and Targamas level 6, I just think there's no way that dive goes well at all, especially with Jankos and Caps now moving down to actually cover. They're going to drop Herald bot, so they really want to get Kaori ahead. Yep. You know, this is that situation where we're talking about the Varus. The Varus is your damage. Varus needs to be doing well. And after that last play down towards bot, lost flashes, end up both dying because that roam, you know, the advantage was really erased that EG had on that bottom side. So Gonna drop the Herald there, trying to get some more gold here in the pocket of Kaori.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because the Sett innately just becomes more of a supportive champion the later this game goes on. He's just there to buy time for the Varus, so the Varus needs a lot of gold, needs a lot of items. Do they transition this into a Drake, though? It just spawned. Inspired's going to start it up. Caps is hovering to this top side and looking to take a base. No Unleashed teleports. G2 could try to stall this. I think Caps is calling that he wants to base for his Mythic here and TP back, so the longer this goes on, I think the more willing G2 will be to contest. 5k HP, Inspired jumps out. Yeah, looks like they're just going to drop it.
I mean, it's just dying way too slow. And with no flash on Kaori or Vulcan,
I mean, he's gonna land. Tahm Kench, he can put up a shield, but will it even matter? It, of course, does not. Flakked on the board for a second. 5-0 G2, nearly matching the game score.
I mean, after they actually bail out on that initial play, nice parry. Now he's gonna turn around for the engage.
Fourth Vital landed. Does have flash, but not going to be range for the rest of the kill. So ulti down, Impact lives, but can he regen and stay in the lane? BrokenBlade's out of mana.
Yeah, EG just didn't bail out quick enough. As soon as Inspire goes over the wall, you've got to get out of there immediately as the EG bot lane. You know the Caps is TPing down towards that bottom side, but Vulcan a little bit slow to exit there, and G2 do punish. They're getting so much more out of these early stages. You know, Nidalee, 12 minutes in, you're up 3 camps, down 0-0-0, 1 dragon is your advantage. It has not been worth it, or even close to worth it, for this pick so far for EG.
Yeah, that's the question. Where's Inspired this game? The only real plays made in terms of team play or teaming up with his laners is taking away that blue buff. Flash in on mid, though.
Flash stun, but he doesn't get the ulti off because I think Caps landed his stun from... No, I don't even know how he didn't get behind him. Caps, no Merc Treads, just didn't walk behind in time to land the ulti to get the kill.
No boots on Jojo either, so it makes it a little bit tougher. Yeah. It looks like EG will get this bot tower. Flakked can clear out the wave, though. No plates falling off just yet. Jankos might be in trouble.
There's a fight. Is it enough? Inspired not in range for the damage, though he hops and get anyone. Of course, this Drake is still up. The wards have been killed. Bot lane pressure pretty much retained here by Varus. Can shove the wave in, and Flakked always has to answer or he loses the tower.
I think EG's play is stacking Drakes right now. They're just finding it pretty hard to start it up because G2 are constantly getting mid push or bot push, either one. And no matter where EG commit numbers, G2 are getting pushed on the opposite side. And now they have this awkward situation where they're on the river. Flakked will push out bot now and rejoin his team. EG have a lot of pressure right now, though. They could look for this dragon window.
Well, I think that's why they were trying to go through mid, right? You know, flash on Caps, try to get a kill on Caps, then move over towards that dragon. But as soon as that fails again, they are once more on the back foot. Kaori, though, does have the Mythic here completed, and at a certain point, EG will have to force. It's not okay to just play slowly with this style of composition. They're not going to have any threats in the later stages.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised Vulcan took that base. They basically own the river and pushed Caps out a little bit and chunked him down. And now Flakked's going to get plates for it because their bot lane took a base. I mean, they will have a little bit more tempo, but it's a mythic match right now, and G2 get a first tower bot, so all of a sudden it's Aphelios 2-0-0, 1,000 gold up on the Varus, and no dragon for EG. We'll see if they can find that proactivity that they so dearly need, as Vulcan going to sweep away some wards from G2. Jojo's coming on a base, has the Unleashed teleport. Does G2 start this dragon up?
I mean, they're going to start it. I feel like this game has completely fallen out of control of EG. You know, this is all G2 now. The gold lead may be relatively close, but the game state is not whatsoever. This is G2 running away with this game in a landslide.
In isolation, it's just BrokenBlade versus Impact, right? No one's really visited top lane, barring that level 3 gank from Jankos, and ever since now the Sunder is completed, it's just going to get harder and harder for the Maokai, really. So I feel like EG, time's running out, but Impact is such a good form of engage that maybe they need to bring him into the equation and try to force these fights while the Fiora is trying to split push.
Unleashed TP finally here. The cooldown's going to be back up in around 3 minutes or so. Big Raptor take, and Jankos going to find a stun pretty soon. Wants the auto attack. Won't get it. Won't throw the ulti out either, as his team is nearby, but so is EG's bottom lane. Back to the mid lane they go. That plus 610 already went to Flakked. He is huge. On his way toward Lord Dominus to cut down the Maokai. Gonna build for the single target. Gonna build for the tank busting when he can. Probably wait till 3 items until he's really a huge threat, but he's on the way.
Yeah, no, I think it's relatively smart build here against the Sett, against the Maokai. You know, going to be in a pretty good position. Mythic now finally completed there for Inspired, but 15-minute Mythic completion for the Nidalee, not very threatening. I do think EG have got to force, and have kind of got to force now. You know, they have their Mythics pretty much across the board. It's only Impact that doesn't have his, but of course, now he's going to complete it. This is their window, and I feel like this is kind of almost their last window. It feels funny to say 15 minutes in, but you've got to get something done before G2 starts hitting 2 items, or this game is toast.
I don't know about you, but this just reminds me of the C9 Fnatic game, where they're just on a timer to force something. Maybe this is some kind of meta that NA's been developing in scrims, where it's actually been working in scrims, where the games are a lot more faster paced and bloody, and you can get these advantages, whereas on stage it's just a lot slower paced, and the game's not as messy. But yeah, their windows are running out. Dragon's up in 3 minutes. Herald to spawn, though. That's something that they can use to help snowball this game and get a bit, get that mid lane tier 1. But G2 right now holding the mid push. And G2 are happy the slower this game goes down. I mean, they've got a Sejuani for engage. The Fiora will win out on the side lane. The Aphelios is ahead of the Varus, and they're the ones who are going to start this Herald up. I wonder if EG drop it or Jojo can TP in here and look for the 5v5.
I think that could block down. They're doing it on top of Scuttle Crab, and they're going to get some poke coming through. Javelins, spears, all looking pretty decent. Cap's going to take a bit of damage, walk back out. Now on to the second Rift Herald of the game. EG mentioned they're on a timer. This is a fight they can actually take. Eye opens up yet again. Gets closer to smite range, nearly resetting the aggro, but not quite yet. Inspired keep the damage coming across, still poking towards Jankos at half HP. They stun the front line. Is that the fight they want? And so Vulcan brings them to safety, and it's one for nothing. Jankos is down. Stun comes across. Targamas has to get out. Huge damage out of Aphelios, though. And the gold lead for Flakked means so much. Caps dives in, finds another. Dives away now for Vulcan. The flash over the wall. Will he find the kill? The shield is not going to hold up. It's 8-1.
G2 wipe EG from the map, and they are not done yet. Caps on the wraparound here, looking for even more against Inspired and Impact.
May not find it. Looks for the sun, doesn't land it there. The poke's still coming through. Targamas around. I don't know if he has what it takes to finish his kill. Dives on in, could be stunned. Heal comes through, Javelin. This one's sidestepped. Everyone's out.
Very messy fight, and we can see so many melee champs in the game. It's just a bloodbath in the center of it, but it's Flakked dishing out a lot of damage with the blue gun, in front of him, just doing so much work in the front line. I think the reason it's so good for EG at the start is because Jankos uses his ult onto Jojo, and then Jojo gets this big W in a second when he comes out to zone the rest of G2 away on top of the Maokai ult, but then the turn was just fantastic.
Absolutely, and critically, it means there's no Devour here for Kaori. Caps actually tagged him, I think, there with the stolen Varus ult, and then just alley-oop to himself there, hits him with the chains, locks him down. Vulcan can do nothing to peel because he had to spend the ulti there on Sett, and as soon as Kaori goes down, he knows that there's no shot for them in that fight.
Frustration there. Unsure how they can get some damage out, but EG will get this mid-tier 1. They picked up the Herald as well. Inspired is slowly getting a little bit ahead of Jankos, has the Night Harvester complete, and it's up a level. Need a lot more than that, though, so yeah, maybe this Herald's gonna go on that top tier 1, or maybe a tier 2 on a side lane if there's some kind of cross-map shenanigans going on. TP back top here from Impact to catch the wave, and the game will slow down a little bit for the next 30 seconds as the Dragon will spawn.
It's the classic Caps there, buying the Mage Eyes already, feeling confident here. 10 stacks in the book, 4-0-2. Caps from ahead. I've seen this game before on Sylas.
Oh, did it just spotted him there, I think. Did it?
I don't know. Either way, the ulti is on. Jankos coming around as well. There should be a stun. It means what he can, but now this is going to be that first stun. In the second stun, into the last vital being popped. Will he tank it at this point, though? Next cooldown's coming relatively soon. Lands the Q. W, auto, heals up. Under the tower they go, and BrokenBlade finds his kill. In the mid lane, it's on the Vulcan. Cap's gonna get his next one. A bit low, though. Kaori does not get the rest of the damage needed and can't go back for any more. Auto still coming through. Flakked gets whatever he wants, set up by his lane mate. And a killing spree for the Aphelios.
G2 winning out top, they're winning out mid as well. Flakked had so many chakrams, I don't think Inspired could jump in there. As much as he wants to take the Magi stacks off of Caps and try to turn the fight, he would die if he jumped in. G2 get the kills in mid, the kill in top, and they're gonna get the Dragon too.
There's the tower. Sejuani contests the red buff. Not sure who got it, but ultimately doesn't matter too much because the Drake is going over. G2 gonna have their second Drake of the game. 11-1 now the kill score, picking up where they left off at MSI. No games have been close. They have crushed EG all year.
Yeah, it's another stomp it's looking like here, and we can see, did he actually spot him at all? Oh, he did.
He did for a frame there.
But I guess he just wasn't that worried, wanted to get the last little bit of farm, but Sejuani comes in.
I think he saw his HP bar and probably assumed he was about to recall or something, so he just wants to crash the wave. Maybe Impact even thought in a 2v1 he had enough to live. He almost made his way out, but then BrokenBlade and Jankos managed to find that kill. All the meanwhile, there was a fight happening in mid, so Targamas just jumped in with the Hex Flash and the ult, pulls them all in with the Magnet Storm. Caps gets the initial kill, dodges out on this Varus Q, I believe. No, it hits actually. Inspired wants to jump in, but he knows if he does, Flakked will just melt straight through.
Yeah, just no real way through, and you can see how powerful the AoE engage there of the Rell is when you're playing up against that Tahm Kench. Find the Tahm Kench. Grey Health is not going to save you because you can actually crack that with the Q on Rell, so well played there by Targamas. It was a good draft. Now we're going to try to find BrokenBlade here. Good parry.
Post into the ulti and getting away. Beautiful. BrokenBlade just honestly guesses, mind reads the timing on the stun and gets it right.
Yeah, let's not forget this group. Very, very tough on Damwon, JDG, the other teams. If anyone wants to stand a chance from EU and A to get out of this group, they have to beat the opposition in a 2-0 to actually have a chance against the other two top teams.
Well, and it's so heartbreaking for EG, you know, coming off of a game yesterday against JDG where I know they felt they should have won. They felt that was a game that would have been theirs. To lose that one in such close fashion against one of the world's best teams, against one of the big tournament favorites there, and then coming in here against G2. And gold still relatively close, but the game feels completely out of control here for EG. It will take a miracle for them, I think, to pull back into this one.
Yeah, they need some overextension from G2, and they need to get caps down and get those stacks off. G2 are baiting Baron right now, but they don't have the quickest Nash. Not so much damage from champs like the Sylas. But G2 probably looking at the next Drake in 3 minutes, get on that soul point, look for this mid-tier 1 there. Those are the objectives. EG on the other side just finished second item onto Kaori. Maybe I'll look for a defense. There's the stolen Maokai ult to allow G2 to walk forwards and take the tower. But EG need to look for skirmishes soon.
Dinner 2 in turrets. 4,000 gold lead here as well.
The rough part about games like this, though, is you know you need to fight early because your team is getting outscaled. But you've already been outscaled. Like, there's no fight looks good because you don't win any of them. So it becomes very, very difficult, right? And I think EG is kind of caught in this loop where they're hoping, well, we need to have an odd number fight, or we need to catch someone out in sides, or we need to wait for a G2 mistake. But G2 is not giving it to them. And time in this game is quickly running out for EG. You know, they already have been outscaled, I feel. Second items are already complete for a number of the players on G2. This next dragon may be the last dance here for EG.
EG just need to group up, get mid-waves in, put a little bit of vision in this topside river, get some pinks down, and hope that G2 walk into them and they can pounce while BrokenBlade's in base or he's late on the arrival with the TP. So a little bit of setup right now, but that one ward on the Baron will give G2 all the information that they need. They'll be very cautious in this phase check because, of course, they're not on this Baron. They're just going to try and push and flush EG out of this topside river. And I think for G2, it's just a clear game plan. Keep BrokenBlade on the side lane, wait for Drakes. It's on EG to start the fight.
Absolutely, and I mean, Flakked looks like he's going towards a BT third, so just trying to play it safe here, make sure he can't be poked out at all by the Varus and the Nidalee. I think is intelligent in this game. And G2 don't need to do anything except what they are already doing. Only take fights when you know where EG is. Only take fights when you have the vision advantage because they are scaling comfortably into the later stages of the game here and have been maintaining the objective control for the last quite a few minutes.
Really nice ward there, actually, across the wall, not getting spotted by the pink. Just gives EG all the information they need as to when they'll start it up. And Targamas just used the sweeper, so that'll stay there for a very long while. But EG need to use that information, look for a pick. They found caps.
Yeah, bit of a fight towards the top side. Will it be enough? The question, when can he find the ult? He's already stolen one from Maokai, so he doesn't have that one yet again. TP's coming in to start reinforcing. Caps gonna flash, gets the re-Maokai ult. jojopyun caught out, but for how long? Puts it across, gets stunned, should still have the shield. Gordinger for a second. Shut that into Caps in front of the Magi stacks. Jojo staying alive, he flashes, gets up towards Tahm Kench. This needs to be the fight that EG wins, but Targamas is too tanky, and BrokenBlade finds the kill. It's 2-1 so far. Impact left alone with his own kind, cut down, turned into mulch, and it's G2 taking everything.
Caps falls, but Flakked and BrokenBlade stand strong. The next carry's in line when he does die there. Loses the Magi stacks, but now it looks like G2 want to start up this Baron. 10 seconds on Caps' respawn. He can TP in. It's on Inspired and Kaori. They have a little bit of poke to work with. Targamas a little bit scared right now to walk up. Initial spear is going to miss. Can Inspire get into this pit? Where's Caps going to TP? Oh,
EG
big spear.
in the Baron pit. Is it enough? EG in the Baron pit. Inspire dives in and he goes down far too early. Baron is claimed. Inspire drops and G2 are slaughtering.
15-2, 6,000 gold lead here for G2. They are crushing EG in this game. And EG do look for the pick here onto Caps, and they do eventually find it, but they just have so little damage. It takes them so long that G2 has easily responded in time, and Jojo's getting beat down on the side.
Both mid laners kind of struggling in their skirmishes. Caps falls initially, so it's a 5v4, but Kaori arrives a little bit late, and look at this ult from Flakked. Gets so many shurikens so he can dish out damage on the Aphelios, and then BrokenBlade can start to step forward and kill the backline of EG. His impact goes a little bit too far forwards. Kaori really can't hit in this fight. The second he steps up, he's just going to get engaged on as well. And it's the meat grinder of Flakked. And now it's a Dragon started up by G2. That'll be easy to secure. That puts them on the Ocean Soul point. With the Baron, they're going to start sieging down these tier 2s.
Now, EG may have already eclipsed their time, but it's going to get even shorter here as we're up for a 30-minute Ocean Soul, and G2 absolutely crushing in this game. Looking at a maybe 30-minute win, to be honest. Caps looking for someone in the brush, not going to be there, but soon jojopyun in a 1v4. Jankos will not take the engage with Merc Treads. Sett is not an easy target. Midlane under fire. BrokenBlade can always riposte the ulti. Doesn't have to care about that too much.
Interesting that G2 are playing a 1-4 rather than having 4-man mid. I guess it just covers off flanks a lot easier because they can only come from your top side. So Impact's now collapsing down, but they can see him coming through this red side jungle. BrokenBlade just spotted him out, so how defensive do they want to play this? BrokenBlade doesn't have the TP, but it looks like they're confident enough to step up as Kaori goes back towards base. That means BrokenBlade can take this mid tier 2. Impact spotted. G2 waiting for the next cannon wave.
Caps takes Devour. Even if you wanted to fight an engage, it's not going to happen for much. BrokenBlade happy to keep hitting up against Maokai here, but wants to pull in for a jojopyun. Will it be enough damage to kill Fiora? It's going to be tough. Pops the ulti, gets some move speed, gets some healing, hits 2 vitals already. And now Impact will run away. At least trades down the ulti, but bottom inhibitor turret has dropped. 1 minute left. 3,000 gold to the Red Bull Baron power play. Inhibitor now gone as well.
G2 gonna move towards mid, another cannon wave coming in. They don't have that Fiora ult, but maybe they're confident enough to step up. A massive damage there from BrokenBlade to Jojo, and he gets engaged on.
First stun comes across, will get chomped up, stays alive for now. Caps dives in for more, has to burn a stopwatch. Will there be a re-engagement? Will it land? They find a bit of damage, but Caps stays alive. More damage across Jojo's shield, and Jojo will drop. Flakked stays up, saved by his mid laner, and they're gonna get Kaori now as well. Everyone's gonna run away or die, maybe even both. A 4-for-0 team fight, make it only 3. Vulcan had gotten out a little while ago. 18-2 though, looking to get their 7th straight win over EG, and it's gonna happen through the middle lane. Double inhibitor down on a Nexus turret number 1, but a poke not gonna mean much. Pushing for more, finding that stun, finding yet another kill. You have to believe. Inspired stuck inside the fountain as his turrets drop and die, and he'll be left 0, 1, and 2. A CS lead, but not one for the game, as he will sit there hoping for the regen. The minions come in, the Nexus falls, and G2 gets the win.
Really well played game there by G2. To me, this was all about the team play from G2, how they work together as a squad, enabling each other to move around the map. It's the first visit towards mid lane from Jankos and Targamas, getting up towards mid lane, helping out Caps, who was having a bit of a tough time, understandably, in the early levels against the Sett. But once they get him that kill, then he can pay it back towards bot lane. Caps roams down towards bot lane with Jankos. They bail out the G2 bot lane, who was behind in that 2v2. And once G2 started to really erase all these individual advantages that EG had, it didn't really feel like there was a way for them back into the game. Inspired really didn't get much done on the Nidalee to justify the pick. Was mostly just farming, but it was a slight CS lead in the first 15, 20 minutes. Nothing to really write home about.
G2 never really dropped the pace. They were always there first in the skirmishes, matching numbers every time, and you hit the nail on the head there. Team play was everything there for G2. You saw in the first couple levels, EG had to push in all 3 lanes. They actually had tools to work with. They had the Nidalee pathing bot. They got the first Drake, but from that point onwards, it was just Jankos teaming up with Caps, getting those roams down towards the bot side, and the cross maps just weren't there for EG.
Yeah, I mean, they had pressure, they got the first Drake, they got the first Herald. They chose to put a bot lane, which I thought was interesting. They could have said, okay, here you go, 600 gold, right onto you, on the mid lane on the Sett. Yeah. I know he's not the carry, but like, hey, crack up a mid, get the roams, go there. They chose to put the money towards Varus. He could never finish that bot lane turret. That turret actually died to just minions. So a lot of money was there, almost claimable, but EG never put the rest of the resources down. It was at 5%, and they never finished, just put 3 people there. Plus 610 on the Varus. He's ahead of the pace. Cool, next team fight. He's an item and a half. You know, that never came over the line. He never got to like the rage knife for the second dragon fight or anything. And so it felt like there were those small things where you can get a bit more over the line. You make that a little bit cleaner, and you probably could have the play happen.
Yeah, I mean, they had that one fight around the Herald that looked good initially, but the turn came through from G2. You can see the damage there on your screen. Jojo just not dishing out as much as he might want. The Maokai, again, surprisingly quite high on the damage. Charts can get a lot done with his base damages in the team fights, but I feel like even though even though Caps fell every now and then, it was Flakked that just carried the weight on the Aphelios. There was never a threat on Flakked. You know, you really want to get a Sett ult on the Sejuani, land on top of the Aphelios, and then have follow-up from things like the Varus or the Nidalee, but that never really happened.
Well, and that's actually why I really liked how G2 were playing out a lot of those fights. They were actually primarily engaging on Jojo, right? And actually pushing Jojo back. They were forcing out the ulti from Vulcan onto him. And if Jojo isn't actually enabling that dive onto the backline, no one is threatening the Aphelios, because that felt like the only realistic way for them to get there. Sure, Maokai could try to flash thrust in advance, but if he's the only one, he's not doing anything on the Aphelios anyway. So it all begins and ends, it felt like, with Jojo in those team fights once they were not snowballing the game. So G2 focus him down, push him back in those fights. Aphelios is free firing, and it's going to look for good for them.
Definitely was. A lot of melee champs, a lot of bloody fights, but G2 are the ones coming out on top. The Magi's eventually fell off, but Caps was stacking that up quite quickly.
Well, playoff buffs maybe ending here for EG. For the most part, like a lot of these play-in teams were doing well. DRX, we saw them drop. EG, of course, now 0-2 as well, even though yesterday had looked pretty good. And hey, if G2 are scaling up, you know, going back to that sort of magnificent form, right? The one international trophy for Europe belongs to G2. We'll see how the rest of this can go for them, because I think obviously their ceiling is so high. I mean, it's great to see their bot lane do so well with so little experience, these players. Like, okay, aside from the one split on Giants, a double rookie bot lane, they're just so good down there. And I'm excited to see more of them because they are kind of shaping up as time goes on. Now, we are joining Shox on stage with Caps for a Verizon postgame interview.
Thank you very much. Yeah, indeed, Caps here after, I guess, the win streak over EG keeps going. A bit of a rough start yesterday to the tournament, completely different look, G2 today. Yeah, what were the changes made overnight to make sure that you could get the dub over EG?
I mean, I think seeing the first day of games of the day was good for us. I think that coming into the groups, we were like the only team in our group who just came off a loss. The other 3 teams came off a win, right?
Yeah.
And the momentum is always very important. And we were a bit worried, like at least I was a bit worried about like the beginning of the group, but I think now that we have a win, I'm just looking forward to snowball that to more wins.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. Of course, if everyone has the momentum going for them, it might take a little bit longer. Interestingly, today you had the Sylas. There was a lot to say yesterday about the Seraphine, and it wasn't the best experience versus Dahm. Could you give us a little insight into why kind of the drastic differences in the drafts and why yesterday the Seraphine?
I mean, the biggest difference is like obviously we play like different teams. Red side drafts might also be a bit different, and then just seeing the game 1 games and how they were going, we were going for like a bit more aggressive comp, and I'm just happy that we managed to pull it off.
Yeah, it was really great to see. You say the other teams were coming off a win. Obviously, the last time we saw G2 was on 4 patches ago, and was also in Europe when you got the worst end of the stick there, of course, versus Rogue. So where was the practice focused specifically in terms of what you guys had to workshop coming into Worlds?
I mean, so we learned a lot from the final. I think especially like losing games and then keep losing games was not the way we wanted to go. We wanted to at least, like, if we start losing, we want to go down with a fight, right? And I feel like that's why I'm happy today as well. Even though we lost yesterday, we came in today and we still played confident, we still played aggressive, and if we can keep it up, then I'm sure we'll go far this tournament.
Yeah, final question to that. It is still a really difficult group, of course, with the likes of Dahm and JDG in there. If you want to make it out, you'll have to pick up a win, at least one against those teams. What is it going to take for G2 to get in the right mindset to be able to get out of this group?
I mean, I think just getting the confidence to like to challenge them on objectives, get a challenge on them on waves, right? And I think, yeah, today goes a long way. We saw both Rogue and Fnatic gets wins, and of course we don't want to be the only team without wins, so we're just going to look to get even more than them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Caps. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A first win for G2 here at Worlds. Over to the State Farm Analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Shox. G2 Esports dispatching Evil Geniuses with ease here to move the head-to-head to 7-0. No, because 7-0 doesn't mean that the shirt's untrue yet.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like they got to get the 8.
And also,
they got to get the 8.
I don't know why you think I'm going to be sad. Like, the West is still 2-1. Like, we're still going towards like
on the day the West is popping off.
It could be a 4-1 day for the West, and that's the best possible since they had to play against each other.
You really do have a positive outlook on life.
See, look at us. We're all on the same team.
We're in this together.
We're all on the same team. I will admit, if this game is any indication, Vedius, we could lock up that 8-0 right now, because this was just utterly disgusting what G2 was able to do.
It's great to see, like, we heard from Caps that they wanted to come into today being aggressive. They felt like that they weren't really able to challenge Dahm, and when you look at their draft, it was very much about, we want to be able to skirmish. They had a really great engage on the bot side of the map. They gave BrokenBlade a winning matchup. You guys are very familiar with the man in the top lane. He used to be a North American representative, and these are the type of champions he's incredibly comfortable on, and it looked like he came into today's game saying, Impact, I've beaten you before, I can beat you again, and he did beautifully on the Fiora.
Now, on the topic of draft chat, a little bit of a curveball thrown out here from EG. The Nidalee picked up of all things in the jungle.
Yeah, I think Nidalee, Sett, Nidalee, Maokai, they were hoping to play a lot through topside, get a lot of lane prio, and then hopefully snowball the game, win in about 22 minutes. I actually understand the draft, especially since they've lost 6 games in a row against G2.
Yeah.
They think, like, how can we be ever in a winning position? And I would also say that the 3 LEC victories so far have been when they have more scaling. So this is definitely kind of a comfort zone that they're being able to find on stage, have enough laning to then be able to have team play and team fighting, and it worked great against EG.
Yeah, again, strategically, the Nidalee, along with those two champions, makes sense. We talk all the time about how Nidalee pairs well with Renekton because of the CC setup to land the spear. Same thing can be done with a Maokai root or a Sett pull-in. Unfortunately, they weren't given the opportunity to pull any of that off, but I do want to go ahead and update our champion pick ban presence graphic here at Worlds, because with the Nidalee being picked up, and we can flip over to that second graphic as well, you will see that we are now at 95 champions because of a Darius ban as well. So we are now the most unique champions at any World Championship with 95 on only the second day of groups.
A world record.
A world record.
That's really cool.
Gotta love it.
Considering what we've had, so many, this is the 11th World Championship now. Like, the fact that it's taken us this long to beat that record, I feel like League's in a really good state right now. And I feel like that these teams, they're constantly looking to bring out something new. And I respect what EG wanted to do. You talked about it, how it seemed like that their approach was to try and attack the top side, especially when they've been going more for this Varus, Tahm, Kench, very defensive, very weak side. What I don't think they were expecting was the level of aggression from Jankos.
Yeah, because normally Nidalee, I'm like, cool, the goal is to get ahead, right? In fact, the exact opposite happened. G2, we showed those early game statistics against Dom1 from yesterday. Didn't go great for them. This time around, though, they reversed it. They flipped that. Look at those early stats.
And G2 always managed to have a numbers advantage, which is impressive for them since they didn't innately have lane prio from, especially in the mid lane when they had the counter pick Sett. But this was just a really good redive. At the time, Inspired was up at the top side of the map taking Rift Herald, so absolutely no one can cover this dive for EG, and G2 capitalizes.
That was a sick Rell stun to stop the Tahm Kench.
Yeah, Kadro highlighted it very well on the cast, where he talked about how EG just weren't successfully cross-mapping. Every time that G2 did something, it felt like that they weren't really getting punished elsewhere on the map. And while you talk about, yeah, sure, they secured the Rift Herald, G2's like, well, we just got 3 plates bot. We don't care. Our dive is going to equalize this Herald, and we're going to be totally fine with it. And as you rightly said, Jack, it just felt like that every single play, they had the numbers advantage. But to me, a lot of that credit needs to go to Jankos and his early aggression. He was making so many great early game ganks. He was so good at setting up the early game aggression and kind of enabling G2 to transition from that traditionally weak early game into a very strong early game into a stronger mid game.
On the Sejuani, it's all about setup, but Jankos delivered, and that's why he gets our 1+ player of the game for his performance in this matchup here against EG. Ever the facilitator for the squad. Yes. When we were talking about how EG might want to be top focused, it was actually EG's top lane that got focused down in this way.
Sejuani duty deserves to be rewarded, especially for Jankos. He's had so many games on this pick, and also was the person that was always in the right place at the right time. This was a particularly game-changing fight that we just saw at the very end, being able to close out that kill.
Yeah, ended up funneling the heck out of Caps, and then when Caps has a lead, man, he plays so confident.
Yeah, and I think that we got to see some of that beautiful Jankos Caps synergy that many G2 fans have been looking for a long time. We didn't get to see it in the finals. We didn't get to see it yesterday as they were shut down by Canyon and Showmaker, but today we get to see a revitalized version of G2, and he's hoping that they can continue that with JDG being their next opponent.
Well, it was a new strat for Evil Geniuses, but unfortunately they fall down yet again to G2, who put a win in that column here in the group stage. Listen to Legends Never Die, though, on the League of Legends official playlist on Spotify. You can find that song and plenty like it on the LoL Music Hub on Spotify. While you take a listen, we're going to go to a quick break, and on the other side, we come back for a clash with Group A Titans when T1 takes on Fnatic.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die. They become a part of you. Every time you play far reaching greatness, relentless, you'll survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. No, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. better.